الذين آمنوا صدوا به وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وبه نستعين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين أبي القاسم محمد وعلى بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. The thing we wanted to review is a concept which we know well in Islam, which is tawalla and tabarra. Tawalla meaning that you have love, affection, and affinity for what Allah is with Allah, and tabarra is that you have disgust and turn away from what is away from Allah. When we look at our statement, our shahada, which is La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. The first part we have La ilaha illallah. But before we attach to Allah, first we have to deny the other gods. First we have to say that there's nothing which we worship, there's nothing which we hold dear, there's nothing which we hold higher. Then we get into our love of Allah. There's a reason for this. Even when we start our prayers, first we say Allahu Akbar, and then we start with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So first we say that Allah is greater than everything. Then we say, in the name of Allah, and then we start our prayers. We have the ayah of wilayah, which says, إِنَّمَا وَلِيُّكُمُ اللَّهُ وَرَسُولِهِ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا يُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَيُؤْتُونَ الزَّكَاةَ وَهُمْ رَاكِعُونَ. That surely your wali is the Prophet, is Allah and His Prophet, and those who believe, those who give while they are bowing down. Now, this has two meanings. One of them is it's showing an indication to Zahir. If you don't look at the tafsir, it's showing an indication that the Muslims are supposed to be the wali of the other Muslims, obviously Allah and the Prophet and the other Muslims. And then the meaning which is khas, which is specific for Amir al-Mu'mineen, was the one who actually did the act, and that him as the example and as the representative of the believers. So some people might ask, well, why are you saying this is just for him and he's the example of the believers? First of all, we have the tafsir of the ayat that the man came to the masjid and he was asking for help, and then he asked Allah, and then Amir al-Mu'mineen was, while he was praying, wasn't paying attention. When he turned to Allah and asked, then Amir al-Mu'mineen, as a representative of Allah on earth, gave him the sadaqah from himself. But he wasn't listening to him when he was just addressing the people. So also we have the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, that when the Marhab, not Marhab, sorry, the other one, Amr ibn Abdul Fud, this was a hero and a champion of the Quraysh, who's known for his extreme bravery. And in one of the battles, they had the Muslims surrounded, and the Muslims were behind a trench. And so the trench was protecting them from, one is the numbers of Quraysh that were out there. And so finally, one of the days, some of the heroes of the Quraysh, their best fighters, jumped over the trench on horseback. There was an area that wasn't guarded, and they jumped over the trench, and Amir al-Mu'mineen cut them off so they couldn't establish a bridgehead. They could have escaped, but they started calling for a one-on-one duel. Now, if nobody had answered it, it would have been a PR victory. If they answered it and then got killed, it also would be a PR victory for the Quraysh. If they didn't answer the call and they ganged up on them, this also would be a huge PR victory for the Quraysh. It would be like, look, for the rest of time, they'd be, look how cowards you were. One of our people challenged you to a one-on-one fight, and all of you ran away, and he started throwing rocks and stones and arrows when you wouldn't challenge him face to face and meet him like a man. So the Muslims were in a challenge. Do we go and fight these people, excellent swordsmen, heroes of their time, and we go and fight them one-on-one and then we get killed? Do we let them escape and didn't fight them? Or do we attack them as a group and kill them and then get humiliated for the rest of time? So the Prophet started ordering his troops to fight them one-on-one, and everybody was deferring and things. And so Amir al-Mu'mineen was the only one who said, I will fight them. And then the Prophet sat him, we know the story. He sat him down 3 times until finally Amir al-Mu'mineen went and he fought. And when he went out to fight, the Prophet said, this is all of faith against all of kufr. This is how symbolic it was, that this was all of faith, that if the Muslims hadn't stood up for themselves at that day, then the faith would be destroyed. But Amir al-Mu'mineen went and he defeated this enemy. So this is when the Imam was offering his sadaqah, he's offering it as the representative of all of faith and all of mu'mineen. And the example, one of the meanings of the Imam is the example for all of us to follow. And that our wilayah should be for the Muslims as a group, but the Amir al-Mu'mineen in a specifically. Please give us salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. But returning to our original topic, this shahada, they say that when Musa came to meet Allah at the burning bush, he saw the fire and he went up into the mountains. And, he said to his family, Inni anastu nara. So he went up there, and then he heard the voice calling him, speaking to him directly. And it said to him, Ikhla'na alayk, innaka bilwadi al-muqaddas tuwa. Take off your shoes. And the mufassirin are saying that this was take off all of your attachments, which are not with Allah. And na'alayk meaning his attachments to his wives. Obviously, you have your attachment to your wife and your children and everything. But he's like, no, just forget all of that focus your attention on Allah. That if you're going to be in this position of being in the presence of Allah, that you can't have anything else with you. Can't have any sort of hubb dunya, hubb mal, hubb riyasat, hubb XYZ. Even if you have wife, children, whatever, it has to be via Allah. So our connection to our Muslim brothers, not just, oh, he's my brother, this, that, and no. Because of Allah, I love this brother. Because of Allah, So then he can come in. And then Allah said to him, Inni ana Allah, and this wiped out, surely I am Allah, and this wiped out anything else besides Allah in his heart. Now, why is it so important to get rid of all of these detachments? We have a lot of different reasons, but this is one. If I'm going to pour something into, for those of you who do medicine, first we have to make the petri dish or whatever tahir, or we have to get rid of all the germs. So you have to wash it out and clean it out. It has to be, however they do, to make sure there's no germs in it, because if I pour the thing in it, then, and there's some germs, it will contaminate whatever I have in there. I can't just pour it into a dirty petri dish, because then it'll get affected. It won't be the same. If you want to have, let's say, milk, you want to pour milk into something. I can't put something like acidic in that bowl and then pour the milk on top of it. The acidity part will eat the milk up and change the flavor, make it different. If I want to keep it pure, I have to clean it out first. So this is why this tawalla comes before the tabarra. Sorry, the tabarra comes before the tawalla. So first I have to push out everything except what's with Allah, and then I have to have my love for Allah and what is with Allah. This is also important for the political ramifications of it. Sometimes people forget. Nowadays they're like, oh, well, everything's love, and why can't you just love everybody and stuff like that. Whereas Islam is taking a different, hate speech. You can't hate anything. I don't hate anybody. They pass laws against it. What? I got so angry, I hated it. Oh, that's. Now, Islam has no. We have, it's essential of our religion that we have things that Allah hates, that Allah finds reprehensible, and that we as believers should also find reprehensible as well. And the individuals who practice them, the individuals who stand for them. So we had the concept, which can be misapplied, but we have to take obviously the correct two slogans that sort of emerged, basically very close in time. Misappropriated, but emerged nonetheless. So one of them, the whole, which we're going to give you the correct meaning of, we had the slogan, which was the white man's the devil. So obviously they were taking it in the racist meaning of it, but we'll give you the correct meaning of it. At the time when it was introduced, they were holding up the sort of white civilization, or so-called whites. We know what, human beings aren't actually white. So it's like, but the European civilization as the epitome and the completeness and the greatest thing that humans could ever arise to. And when and they said, you non-Europeans, whether you're Pakistani or whether you're Indian or Chinese or African or what have you, you may be allowed to be equal to us should you adopt all of our practices. So you sometimes see these pictures of people in India or China or Japan or Africa or whatever, and they'll have like a top hat and the little monocle and the whole 9-yard cane and all this, and trying to be equal to the white man. I remember they had the Shah of Iran. He decided to make himself he was already Shah, but he decided to make himself the Shah anyway. So he wanted to give himself the crown. So he invited everyone out to the desert, but he had like English carriages. You would see the carriage, like, with the big wheels and the white horses, an English carriage and a English looking crown and the little, like, the cape with the fur. He was like crowning himself like this because he's like trying to elevate himself. I'm just as good as this. We had Al-Hajj Malik Shabazz, Malcolm X, the Shaheed, that he said something like, who are they to be equal to? Because even that was in the African American community. They would be like, you know what? It actually wasn't so bad that we were slaves because we had the honor and glory of being somewhat close to the white civilization. So we're not as bad as the Native Americans or I don't know, whatever, Africans back in Africa who weren't as close to the white. I mean, completely like a slave mindset. So it was a huge threat when taken in its proper meaning that I am not going to aspire to be you. Yes, we can aspire to be the prophet. We can aspire to be this. We can aspire to be that. But we are not going to aspire that ourselves are complete whenever we get close to this tyranny, whether it's, you want to put it as a white culture in the time of the rise of Europe, or the Roman culture in the time of the Romans, or the Egyptian cultures and Pharaoh in the time of Pharaoh. We are not going to try to be you. We are not going to try to be equal to you. We have nothing to do with you. This is what this bara'at means. It doesn't actually, like, if you break the word down, like, they even use it in a positive meaning. Like the Prophet Isa says that birran bir waliday, meaning he's innocent, he's good to his parents. That means you treat someone with that. But they're using it in the Arabic meaning that I am free from responsibility towards that person. And they used to use it in this way, that they would have enemy tribes that would attack someone. And if you say I'm bari from this, means that not I'm innocent of, you could use it in that meaning, I'm innocent of a crime, but meaning I'm not going to take responsibility. If you go and kill this person, doesn't have anything to do with me. But there's also a semi-hostility in it. Like, it has nothing to do with me and I'm actually okay with it. This was the meaning. So, meaning we don't try to connect ourselves with it. We don't try to attach ourselves to it. I remember we used to sometimes see this, of course, unaware of ourselves following this in another way, but it's easy to see when you would see the other people doing it. It's hard to see when you do something yourself. So sometimes we would have like American exceptionism, which is a type of accepting and a tawalla of some sort to a kufr system. We would not see it in ourselves. But when we would see the other people joining in this, it used to be like shameful. We would see like foreigners would come to America, and then like, their culture obviously is to be modest, shy, wear long clothes. And they would come and they would wear like, especially in the 70s, the short shorts. And it would be like, what are you trying to do? I remember we used to say this to them. Like, do you think you're white? And it used to bother us. Obviously, we being unaware of our own, mistake in that. But we can see the ugliness of something like that when we see someone else doing it. That would be the first thing that would come to our mind. Why are you trying to imitate the unjust people? They had the other slogan, which is the Ma'akbar America, that the Persians used to say, down with America. And then, of course, they try to change both of them into a wrong meaning. They would say it's death to all Americans, whereas there's no all, and there's no this, and there's obviously no death. And Americans would be walking alongside them, so that's not clearly what they're intending. But it was meaning we don't want to have our system be attached to their system. We don't want to have our system be imitating their system. We don't want to try to get justice by using an unjust system. It's very interesting how they don't even like that you have the concept of being able to do that. That you have this concept of that we don't hold you as the example. Because I've noticed sometimes they'll have, this is one of their problems with hijab, when they see the Muslim women wearing hijab. is they're like, this person is being defiant to us. And if you were, why is it defiance? Why do you think when a person doesn't wear hijab, why is it defiance? Because what is defiance? If someone's an authority to me and I don't listen, that's called defiance. If someone's a junior to me and I don't listen, it's not defiance. I'm just ignoring them. They didn't like the hijab because they see that it flips it. It makes them the junior. The Muslim sister who's wearing it is saying, I'm not ascribing to your worldly view that my worth is coming from my looks and my outward appearance. They're like, you're defying us. How dare you defy the king? Why? What did she do? She didn't accept their value system. She didn't say that this value system that you have is the correct value system. And when you do that, that's defiance. So it's important for us to now take this position that our reliance, our hope, and our help, and our assistance, and our responsibility is towards the other believers. That doesn't mean we don't have a responsibility towards the wider society as our brother human beings, but we have a responsibility towards them. But our first and our authority and where we get our inspiration from and where we try to grow is with our belief and our acceptance in Islam. Now, it may happen that non-Muslims stumble onto bits of truth here and there and maybe begin practicing some aspect of Islam culturally better than the Muslims are practicing that particular aspect culturally. So each society has its strong points. You look at Asian societies, they have their strong points. Maybe on the issue of looking out for your parents, they're very strong on there. Maybe another issue, they're weak. Over here, maybe we have some issues that they're very strong on, that it's a cultural issue. Maybe at least in the past it was for a while they had meritocracy, was kind of sort of 80s and 90s. They were pushing that there's equality amongst human beings. So they may have a bit here and a bit there, but we don't say that their society is the standard to which we aspire. We say that they have achieved something of Islam. We're still trying to achieve what Islam aspires. It just so happens that they have, as a culture, not as individuals, as a culture, they have emphasized that particular point. So we take that. They say that, take the truth even from the mouth of munaf. Sometimes these people stumble onto some bit of truth. We don't refuse the truth because it's from a bad person. We take it wherever it is. It's ours. The truth is the possession of the mu'min. So wherever it comes. But we have that a love of the dunya and a love of Allah cannot exist at the same time. This is a type of shirk because you say there's two gods. I'm trying to serve Allah a little bit and I'm trying to serve the dunya a little bit. No, you serve Allah, your priority is Allah, and that Allah gives you the dunya. So and we see this usually where people go wrong. This is what they do. That Allah gives them a responsibility and they start trying to solve their responsibility through other than Allah. So Allah gives you a wife and children. Okay, that's your responsibility. Allah said it's your job to take care of the wife and children. You say, okay, mashallah. How am I going to take care of the wife and children? Oh, I'm going to open a liquor store. No, Allah gave you the responsibility to do it in a halal way. If there's no other way than that, then there's no way. It doesn't mean you can go over and start doing this, that, and the other. This is where sometimes people go wrong. This is this meaning, ikhla'na alayhi. Put all of that aside. Know that Allah is the greatest and Allah will be able to take care of them as long as you work within the halal. And we're going to go on a little bit of a side quest just because sometimes it happens. I've seen people also try to find another way of shirking responsibility that Allah gave them by making up haram things that aren't actually haram. So they have a responsibility. They're supposed to take care of their wife and their children, whatever. And then they get, let's say, a job or something like that. They'll find some way that somehow This job is haram. Like, oh, you're working at a food store. Okay, mashallah, you're working at a food store. What do you do at the food store? Oh, I unload the trucks and I put them in the back of the store. Then like some of the ingredients and some of these things are haram. Maybe I shouldn't work. If you're making hardship for yourself. 1,000 people you ask, nobody would think about this. You find a way to try to make your life hard for yourself and then say that, no, this is that's shaitan. To try to go over discover things. No, if it's, some of the stuff is black and white. This is where we apply this rule. Selling liquor, we know we can't sell drugs, we can't steal, we can't do this, we can't do that. Those things are black and white as ways of trying to make your money. But to try to come over and do sort of these, create hardship for yourself, and then after that blame Allah. We don't do that type of thing. We find a way to make those type of things, which is if you had some shack, and rather than you do your ijtihad, if you're seriously worried, we have so many ulama we can ask, and they can answer the question. Yes, it's haram to do this. I have some doubt that I'm doing this particular job. Okay, ask the question and then move on. You don't have to go over and dig 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 until you find out somehow that you're making haram. So this is the thing, that these people who they love shaitan, they tie themselves to him, they tie themselves to kuffar, they tie their hopes and their success and their dreams through that. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. صلي على محمد وآل محمد. صلي على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل وسلم على جميع الأنبياء والمرسلين والشهداء والصديقين وعلى سيدهم حبيب رب العالمين أبي قاسم محمد وعلى بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين صلوات. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى أخيه ووسيه أسد الله الغالب علي ابن أبي طالب. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى ابنة بنته وبضعته فاطمة الزهراء سيدة النساء العالمين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل جنة أجمعين وعلى علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي وحجة بن الحسن المهدي عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف. صلي على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. صلي على محمد. We have something which is important for the believers to remember, which is the maghfirah and the forgiveness of Allah, and to avoid falling into despair. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. قُلْ يَا عِبَادِيَ الَّذِي أَسْرَفُوا عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ لَا تَقْنَطُوا مِنْ رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ. That, O my servants who have done too much against themselves, do not be despairing of the mercy of Allah. So one of the things that shaitan likes to try to do, to try to get us to become worse sinners, is saying, you have done so much wrong, you have done so many mistakes, you may as well give up, you may as well stop trying, you may as well double down on your sin. Allah is not going to forgive you. This is one of the things which is a great sin in Islam, to lose hope in the mercy of Allah. So these other things drinking and this and that and the other, are considered small sins compared to that. Even though we say this is a great sin. You murdered somebody, you drank, you did this. Allah says that there's a punishment in the Quran and whoever does this goes to hell and blah, blah, blah. The worst sin is that you say that Allah cannot forgive me. Allah can forgive all of your sins. That you have hope for the mercy of Allah. That however big is your sin, they say Allah's forgiveness is bigger than that. Doesn't mean go out and start sinning and running up a tab, figuring Allah will bail me out at the end. Some people are like, no, not trying to be smart. Sometimes people, they think that they're going to do that. They said that this Shimr la'anahullah, he was like, okay, I'll kill Imam Hussein, I'll get the dunya, I'll get the farms in Iran, and then after that, I will make tawbah and I will be saved at the end. He didn't get the farms and he also didn't get a chance to make tawbah. So he did the bad deed. It turned into a PR disaster, so they didn't give him any reward. The city that he was in fell, and before he got a chance to make tawbah, he also got killed. So the idea that you can try to count on it, no. But at the same time, wherever you are in your life, the idea that, oh, I can't stop now because I'm so deep in, is one of the worst ideas. That Allah will always forgive you. Allah always has a chance to have mercy on you. And that Allah can always help you out wherever you are in your life. Because one of the things they try to do is that if we notice the system, they like to kind of have this feeling of almost despair. Because it's so materialistic. If you miss your car payment, they take your car. If you miss your house payment, you take your house. If you miss this, you take that. If this happens, so you're always in this state of constant panic and constant fear, which is, Muslims are supposed to be in a state of peace, but we're in a world which is trying to have you feel that I'm not going to make it. It's going to be too much. This is one of the lines from, I believe it's Surah, Hazrat Zakaria. He was like, وَمَنْ يَقْنَتْ مِنْ رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ مِنْ رَحْمَةِ رَبِّهِ إِلَّا الظَّالِينَ. That no one is despairing of the mercy of Allah except for the lost people. Now this can be sins, if you're despairing. This can be dunyawi things, if you're despairing. Allah can't give me this. Allah can't help me out. Now sometimes Allah has not decreed to do something for you. You have some desire that it's either not good for you or that it's a realistic impossibility. But Allah can give you something better than that. So if someone decides, oh, you know what, my dream is to be, president of Russia. That's a realistic impossibility. Allah can still do it if He so desires, but most likely that's probably not going to happen. But Allah can still give you something else. Allah can still make your life easy for you if you want to have an easy life. Allah can still, give you a house, job, whatever it is. And sometimes Allah does not give you that thing, but He gives you something better in exchange. Could be in this world and it could be in the next world. They have some hadith that they say that if a person saw the reward that he got for making du'as that Allah did not answer in this world and gave him something better in that next world, he would wish that Allah had never given him anything. And sometimes you see somebody is a believer and they're praying and they're praying and they're praying. You say, well, why aren't they getting the answer to their prayer? They're praying, they're praying, they're praying. One of the examples I use is sometimes we do this as teachers. We have a lot of students, or we do it as guests or businessmen. The Karen comes into the store. Let's say I'm in the store with my friend. Me and my best friend are into the store, right? And the Karen comes in. She's mad. She wants to talk to the manager, blah, blah, blah. She's asking questions. She's demanding answers. Somebody has to do this or fix something. Sometimes we just want her out of there because she's bothering the other customers, and you know what? She doesn't know what she's talking about. Give her what she wants and get her out of the store. Our friend, who's our buddy, we made him sit and wait in the back of the line while we served everybody else, and then you turn back to your friend. Like I used to go to had a lot of friends who were Arab or from the Middle East, and we would go to the store, and then they would serve everybody, serve all the customers, and then after that they come over and they see what it is that I want. Why did they serve me last, who they cared about and they loved, but the other people first? No, because you care about him and you love him and you want to be able, so maybe you want to give him extra helping on his plate. Maybe you want to do this to him. Maybe you want to sit and talk with him. So you're giving him all these other benefits. First, you've got to clear all the riffraff out of the way. He knows that you love him. He knows he's the one who not only will you give him his meal for free, you might come over to his house and help him move his furniture. You might, if his kid were to be ill, you're going to, move that child into your house. Meaning this is the type of closeness that you have. With the other people, you don't care about them. So, you want your soup first in line? Okay, here's your soup. You don't want, you want the soup, but no peas? Okay, I'll take those peas out and make it for you. But your beloved, you want to make sure you treat him right. So sometimes for this small stuff, you get rid of those people. So this is what we see. Sometimes we see these kuffar getting all these benefits, not realizing, no, the real reward is in the akhirah. Allah's just getting them out of the way. Our patience, as in our example of our patience with Allah, our patience with, let's say, our friend, is you get the benefit of it. So I go to my friend's store, he gets rid of the other customers, then we get to sit down and have the 2-hour conversation that we wanted to have. That was the benefit. I had to be patient while he got rid of the other customers, and he understood and I understood because we're buddies. The benefit is that at the end of that conversation, after he got rid of the other customers, he said, what did you come to the store for? I said, actually, I'm going to need a ride to the airport. I need someone to drive an hour and a half and drop me and drive an hour and a half with the car by themselves. He doesn't do that for the other customers, but he did that for me. Why? I was patient with the other customers. All of those types of things, it only happens when we're patient with the hardship. So sometimes it's very important for us to kind of keep that in mind as different things come to us. Just like at our friend's store, maybe we were hungry. We had to wait while he served everyone else. I got there first, but he served the other people first. Or you have the teacher, he gets rid of the bad kids first, and the good kid, he comes later. You get rid of everybody else, then he comes to the good kid later. Yeah, but that's the one he goes over, and what was the question that one had? Can you write me a recommendation letter for college? What's the benefit, and what's the little bit of wait that we have to do? So it's important for us to do that, to understand the big picture, to not get desperate when Allah is making us be patient. If Allah is making us wait longer, it's meaning that He's wanting to have something better for us. He's making us wait and wait and wait and wait and wait and wait and wait. When we look at these, the next one which you have, which is from Prophet Yaqub, that he said, إِنَّهُ لَا يَعْسُ مِنْ رُوحِ اللَّهِ إِلَّا الْقَوْمِ الْكَافِرِينَ. He calls it kufr. He said, don't despair of the mercy of Allah. The only one who despairs is the people who are kafir. So we just use this as one example. That Hazrat Yaqub was asking to be patient while Yusuf was away. And he didn't despair, despite his son was missing. His brothers had a hand in making him disappear and all of that. But what did he get in return? His son became the king of Egypt, the superpower of the time, the practical king. He was running everything. The king was like basically a figurehead. So many people in Egypt became Muslim because of his son. His own family got united because of his son. Because of his son, more prophets and imams were in their lineage because of his son. So all of these huge benefits and blessings only came because he was patient on the one hand, and also he didn't despair of the mercy of Allah. He said, this is Allah's plan. Sometimes we have to remember that a part of Allah's plan is the qadr of Allah. When we ask something about, I want to be president of Russia, it's not the qadr of Allah for us. The qadr meaning that some of the stuff is fixed in stone. See, Allah said that, human beings can't fly. That's the qadr of Allah. We can't say, oh, well, I'm angry about the qadr of Allah. I can't be angry about that. That's what it is. Allah has decided. Allah can change things here and there, but sometimes He's decreed for you a certain thing. You have to be patient with it. We have to accept it. We do our best. We pray, and then Allah gives us the reward and the at the proper time. Sometimes your duty is to struggle. Sometimes that's what, like, the thing that Allah is wanting from you is the struggle. That's the benefit. The struggle itself. Controlling your temper while you have this financial hardship, or this child who's ill, or this wife who's being disagreeable. Maybe that's what Allah wanted you to learn. You can't learn it unless you do it. You can't say that. One of the things we see is that Allah likes action, not just in theory. Because all of us are mu'min in theory. Oh yeah, if I was alive at Imam Hussein's time, mashallah, see me out there, nice sword, and this, that, and the other. See it in practice. Being patient. Really? You say, oh yeah, I would have been out there with the very sharp sword in the front line. We lose our job immediately, we go to pieces. I would have been out there, the first guy in the first line. Threat comes to our kid, we lose our faith. Anything that happens, maybe Allah is giving us a favor by not putting us out there on the front line until we have, they say in the Farsi that you're pukhte, meaning you're cooked. Sometimes you go through a little bit of stuff, you've been through a little bit, now you have, yes, that if I was actually put out there on that front line, after I learned to be patient with this financial issue, after I learned to be patient with love of my children, after I learned to be patient with maybe my wife might back me up on this, after I learned to be patient with I might lose my reputation, after I learned to be patient with all of these things, then you can say, oh, you know what? This guy really would be. And Allah's like, yeah, I have proof. You say, well, what's the proof? Some munafiq kafir will say, well, I would have been out there too. Allah can say, well, look, when I gave you this little test, you failed. You gave you this little test, you failed. I gave you this little test, you failed. You're telling me you would stand out there with 72 people facing an army of 40,000 people and get trashed and humiliated, and they're going to burn down your house, and they're going to put your wife in jail, and they're going to do this to you and that to you and kill your kids. You would have been patient with that. You wouldn't be patient with 5 minutes of these masa'ib that you're having on your daily life, which are so much less than that. So we have to try to pass those daily tests. And Allah gives them to us again and again. When we're teaching, we have the kid do the small arithmetic again and again and again until he can do it backwards and forwards. I remember my father, may Allah have mercy on him, used to get us up and make us do these times tables. Now you guys don't know about that. Y'all have the calculators. So, no, he would get us up and he would make us do the whole thing, 5 times 5, and he had a little stick in his hand. He would hit the board and make us recite over and over and over again, so you can do it backwards and forwards. So it becomes easy. Later someone asks you and you know the answer. It's right on top of your head. You used to do the 5 tables and the 7 tables and the 8 tables, and brother is getting flashbacks. And so that the person, if it came up, he could do it easily. But if he didn't practice it, it wouldn't be easy. So this is when we're going through our life and our struggles and everything, this is what we have to keep in mind. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajal hayatana hayati Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa mamatina mamati Muhammad wa atina fi dunya ziyarati Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa fil akhirah shafati Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Wal asr innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa amilus salihat wa tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. أشهد أن